What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Van City Beats, Eats, and More with the one and only Kazi, and joined today by
Eliza,
aka
Lyzah,
aka my dear and beautiful friend, dancer, choreographer, creator, interpreter. I like that you said that on your bio. We are out here on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, the Squamish First Nations, what is colonially known as Vancouver, BC, what we call Van City. And today's episode is quite special. A lot of last minute things have happened. As you know on the show, if you've been watching for a while, we do like to feature good eats and good food in the city. Either we're cooking it up ourselves or we're featuring local foods. And it's actually quite rare that we get to film at a restaurant, but I called up this place because Lyzah and I had a nice chat yesterday, and they had told me, I really like Japanese. I could also do sweet. So I did a little Google search of what's around downtown, and I found this place called Fuwa Fuwa Brunch and Dessert Cafe. It's right on Robson Street. It's a chain, so it exists in different cities. And it has this, the latest craze, the Japanese soufflé pancake. And by latest craze, maybe like since the late 2010s. Have you tried it? Have you heard of it?
I have, but it's been a long time since I've had it.
Thank you, Donna. Oh,
Thank you.
yes. Oh, can we get another fork and 2 knives, please? Here we go.
Wow.
And here's the test. The jiggle. The jiggle. There we go. I see it. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That looks good.
That looks great.
Well, this is going to be
that
my...
was a great choice.
Yeah. I love that you're down to roll with it. Salamat po. Thank
Salamat
you.
po.
We love our fellow Filipinos.
We do.
You know? Oh, this looks so good. I mean, yes, we're going to definitely talk about all the things today on the show with Lyzah. Talk about dance, talk about creativity, talk about your recent trip to Paris.
Oui. My little French phrases.
Yeah. But first things first, because this has a deflate timeline.
We must take a bite.
We must take a bite, the first bite. Okay, you here?
Wait, you go.
Oh my, look, bounce, bounce, bounce.
Bounce.
Or like, just like a little knife.
Hip hop.
Okay, first bite,
Bounce.
let's go. OMG. So I see the egg whites paying off here, the whipped egg whites. Ready?
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What is a baby bite?
What? Mm. Mm.
Wow. That's like some melt in your mouth goodness.
It's like a cloud.
It's like a cloud. I would love to start this interview. My first question.
Yes.
Just go into the beginning of, what was that first moment when you, I'm guessing you were young, witnessed dance and it moved you in a way where you're like, that is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Paint me a picture.
Yeah. Painting you a picture. So my sister's been a big part of my life. Like,
Shout out your big sis.
yes, she might be watching.
Yeah.
And she was actually taking hip hop classes, and we're 5 years apart. So I was 3 and she was 8. And I was like, I want to do what my sister's doing. And then that's why I started to take dance class. So I was about 3 years old. And I remember being like, yeah, I want to do what my sister is doing. And then I just never stopped. And now it's been a part of my life. Yeah, ever since.
And what
Huge
was like
part.
the first, I guess, entry point for dance for you? What was it, hip hop classes or?
I actually took ballet classes, and then I eventually did like all the studio like styles, and my mom was alive at the time too, and so Filipino parties and hosting people is a big part of our lives.
Yeah.
And there's always dance there too.
Line dancing,
yeah,
partner dance.
Exactly.
Soul Train.
Soul Train. And then just was taking classes all throughout my childhood and after school too. And now I'm still learning.
Wow, since age 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And then at what point was, I guess, like street dance really introduced to you?
So I went to contemporary dance school in a program here in so-called Vancouver called Modus Operandi. So it's a 4-year program, and we do like 30 hours of dance like a week. It's quite intense. I feel like it was my second year. Well, actually, I started taking whacking classes before Modus. Because I remember when I was in Japan, I also took some workshops in whacking too. But when I really started to bring whacking more into my life, contemporary can be quite serious at times, which I love. I love being serious about what I do. But I was craving that joy, and I found it in whacking and just dancing for the joy of dancing. And then when I did it more, I realized like the culture also really resonated with me, and queer expression. Like I was whacking before I identified as queer, and so it was really succinct with a journey of kind of discovering who I am and discovering street dance too.
And then from there, would you say that started, your path into diving deeper into exploring this dance culture?
For sure. It was, so at the same time as going to Modus, I would like take workshops and like attend battles. But I really feel it wasn't until after I got out of Modus that I had more time on my own, where I went to Montreal and New York and kind of got also the roots of it from other people outside of our community, that I fell even deeper in love with the dance. And so now I'm like, I love whacking so much, and it's a huge part of who I am. And I also train in other styles. Like in studios, we did hip hop, like more choreo, but then afterwards doing more freestyling in the street dance for hip hop and house and hustle. Like this year I've been hustling more, and that feels really nice. Yeah,
me and Sean like that. Yeah, that's really interesting that you came from having witnessed your sister do hip hop, and going through what a lot of dancers who are like trained dancers go through of jazz, ballet, contemporary, etc., and then making that choice that this is what you want to do. Because I didn't come up with that kind of background, I've always been curious, like, what is the framework of contemporary lens in which you create?
The framework?
Because I've only ever seen the other side of it, which is like the actual performance, you know, but I am aware that there's a whole process that goes through creating work through that framework.
Totally.
Or lens.
Yeah. And I think there's many ways to do it too. And that's one great thing about Modus, is that we got to work with a range of choreographers who have different artistic processes. So for me, I've created a couple works, and these days I'm really trying to stay in the research and like the constant discovery. I bring in that spontaneity of street dance through like improvising and freestyling within my creations. But that's also how I start to set choreography, is I'll kind of create a world, like these are dance words, movement modalities. Like I will improvise to like, it kind of builds like a specific aesthetic. Like maybe for example, there's one part of the solo that I made, Vibrate, where I think about like building up a climax in my whacking and then like dropping it. And just like playing within these like little bubbles of different kinds of dance. And then when I have my worlds, I bring them together to create like kind of it's pretty usually abstract story. That's a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like you're building these containers.
Totally.
Essentially. And then through those containers, that's the framework.
Yes. And then for me, it includes like street dance, whacking, like my contemporary dance background, like relationship to the floor, thinking about what I'm wearing from the start, is how much like skin is going to be on the floor, like will there be a jacket, like that changes the way I dance too. And I find like also like text, like my voice is also a part of it as well. So like I made a piece with a collaborator who's also Filipinx, and they spoke a bit of Tagalog in it too. And yeah, bringing the voice into it.
That piece is called Gigil, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Gigil is one of my favorite words because there's no English direct translation. It's a feeling. And it's like when something, and it's usually used to describe babies. When something is so cute, you just want to like squeeze it. Like high-pitched squeal that is only audible to dogs, like type of. Yeah.
Exactly.
Why did you call that piece Gigil? What is it about for anyone who hasn't seen it?
I love that you described it first as a feeling, and that's a big part of it for me. And this feeling that you also like, it brings out a shake in you.
The shake.
the shake.
Everything's on theme today.
Shaking, that's also a big part of my choreographic world. Shaking.
Why?
Why? Yes.
Yeah. What does that mean?
I have thoughts around this.
Tell me.
There's many reasons. Shaking for me is also a place of transforming. Like different insects transform through shaking. And so when I connect to like spirit in my dance, like shaking can be a place to move towards a spiritual realm, a different version of ourselves, to like process things. So that's like one way that I see like shaking resonate with me. I also see like the joy in when you're so happy, you're vibrating, and also pleasure too. Shaking is a big part of that.
Cool. What are the themes that you explore in your works?
Kind of in relationship, like transformation is a big part of all my works. Like the multiplicity of a person and people. For both Vibrate and Gigil, pleasure and eroticism, and turning the head on what that is. Queerness and being Filipinx. Yeah, those were kind of where my creations were the past 2 years. And now I'm kind of diving more into like my ancestral line and being Filipino, and really connecting to those practices too, and bringing whacking into it as like a place for transformational joy, which connects to like what brought me to whacking too.
Yeah, that was gonna be actually my other question, is like, you know, if from what you describe with contemporary and the frameworks that you create from, and then with street dance being so freestyle, improvised, off the cuff, like just, and also born out of like such a potent social culture, queer culture. You know, how do you bring the two together? Like, what is that intersection? And how do we I mean, this might be a thinker, but how do you do that in a way that still maintains integrity, authenticity, and honor both lineages of where you've been learning?
Totally. I think I'm still learning, and that's the big part of it. Is like Gigil was, I would say, mainly more on the contemporary spectrum, and Vibrate, when I performed it, it had like the ideas of whacking and whacking in the end. But my next piece, I really want whacking to be at its core. And so I feel like I look to people I'm working with and who are doing it and have done it before.
Who are?
Khoudia Touré. She's a choreographer based out of Paris and Senegal. And I spent a whole month with her, like in November. And I really see like the essence of hip hop come out in everything that she does, in the way she facilitates, in the way she creates, in the performance itself. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking about too, in the way I show up too. How can I bring the values of whacking in everything I do? Like, for example, a value is really embracing who you are and like waving that flag and embracing the people that I'm sharing it with and bringing freestyling into our creation process. That's kind of like little ways where I'm keeping that through line of street and club dance in performance.
That's cool. I'm curious to know, how did Khoudia, it's a good segue, how did Khoudia, when you say that she comes to the table, like, and hip hop is in everything that she does and how she holds the space, like, what does that actually specifically look like? Especially because, she's creating work for like these huge stages and a very, very diverse audience.
Totally. I mean, I'll give two examples, one both on stage and one kind of in the back end, because I've got to kind of get insight on both. In the piece that I also got to research and be a part of, it's called Oro, which is...
Interesting. We have an Oro collective in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So the piece was called Oro.
Yeah.
My question is, you were going to give me two examples of how Khoudia brings hip hop into the space. Yeah.
There's this moment that arguably it kind of like goes towards more of like the contemporary spectrum. There's like a lot of theatrical lights and like kind of a fight scene in an abstract way. And then Khoudia like kind of like cuts the lights and starts talking. And then people come out, and then all of a sudden this like people come out arguing, first with their voice and then with their bodies through like a cipher that has that battle energy. And so integrating it in performance that way, like making sure freestyling is a part of it, because that's how we train and that's what we're strong at, is freestyling.
Yes.
As street and club dancers. And then I see that in performance, and both Khoudia and I self-produce all of our stuff. So it means we're doing like all the administration too. And Khoudia started her company, company Khor, just a year ago. And before was under a production company. And she talks a lot about how much joy she's getting from just like understanding a lot more. Yes, it's a lot more work, but now she sees like all of the budget and gets to really choose who's a part of her team and not have to argue with someone about it. And this choice to go outside of the system, I think, is also quite hip hop, to not be a part of that institution and finding her way to create dance works that is not linked to what has like been done before, and like part of this like that institutional system of production companies. She's making her own way. And so I think that's like ways you can bring it concretely.
Yes. Because really the spirit of hip hop is an act of resistance.
Exactly.
And so that energy being carried through, that's dope. I really respect that. Yeah. So how did that even happen? What was it? We all saw cool things on the internet, but I'm sure a lot of us actually just don't even know.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy to share.
Yes.
It's actually funny. I also got asked just to write a story about this project because there's not much media on it.
Okay.
In Vancouver.
Is it coming out on a Vancouver media
perhaps,
outlet?
Or I just like wrote a story through Neworks and I think that will come out in the new year. It's another organization that supports dance. So Khoudia got actually mentored by quite a well-known contemporary choreographer named Crystal Pite in 2018. So she was coming to Vancouver then, and that's how she started to build a connection with Vancouver dancers. And then started the creation of Oro in 2022 and wanted it to have the emerging voices from the different communities she was connected to. So there's like 9 dancers in Senegal, 5 in Paris, and I think 9 of us in Vancouver as well. And chose both people from Modus, so from contemporary background, but then a couple from the street dance community too. And we had 2 weeks of research periods where we really played in the studio, where we kind of like did games and freestyled and collaged and talked a lot about what our part of the show was, kind of referencing the shadow of in ourselves in Vancouver and globally, and then different cities kind of researched different parts of the show, empowerment and hope and moving forward. And then
and Vancouver's was shadow.
Exactly. And then we created movement too for that, and also recorded like our voices. So in the show, I first witnessed it like as the trio version, and I like saw choreography that I like made in it and heard my friends' voices, and I was like, whoa,
Cool.
This is so surreal. Yeah. So that's kind of how we got involved. And a year ago, Khoudia submitted a big grant that brought like 6 of the Vancouver dancers to Paris for 10 days. And then I also applied for a grant to be mentored by Khoudia in creating street and club dance in like the theater. So that's what I mean. I'm still learning. So I got to go down early and spend 2 weeks just following her around on tour and prepping for the residency. And it was amazing.
Wow. And then how was the actual performance and meeting the other dancers from all these other places?
Yeah. So sadly, the Senegalese, not all of them came, just 2 of them. But I spent a lot of time with those 2. And then the French dancers were there. The energy was like explosive. Like first in the room, the Vancouver dancers came, and you could tell there was just like so much gratitude in the room for being in creating and performing in France. And then the French dancers came and like it like leveled up even more. You know that energy of like when people are like leveling up in a battle?
Yeah.
That's kind of
like one-upping each other type of thing?
But yes, but in a like supportive way.
Yeah.
Like you see people like giving themselves and you're like, yeah, I want to also go off too. And so every day it was so inspiring to be around. Like the French dancers were all street dancers from hip hop, crump, house. Someone did a little whacking at the end. I was like, I see you.
Aww.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
Whoa. And so then there was like a couple of days that everyone was together to I guess like marry everything and then prepare for the performance. Is that how it happened?
Exactly. So the show is about, it's like almost an hour long, 50 minutes. So we can't like do a full creation in like 5 days. Like that takes some time. So there's a trio version, and that kind of held the base. And then there was parts where different, like the French dancers did a section, and then at the very end, we all came on stage too. So there was maybe 15 of us at, so kind of marrying the different parts, like in like 5 days, I'm pretty sure.
That's
it was.
cool.
Yeah, it's cool and so ambitious and amazing.
I mean, see, that's the part where I'm like the spirit of hip hop.
Exactly. You just
and
do
freestyle
it.
and street dance and like you're trusting on all your lived experience, all your training coming to the forefront at that moment.
Exactly.
And then being executed.
Exactly. And that's what I think Khoudia, there was newness because she hadn't done it before, but like a couple of us were like, yeah, you can trust that we're strong freestylers and dancers and that it's gonna be great. And it was.
Aw, yay! Congrats!
Thank you.
Félicitations,
Thank
as
you.
they would say in French.
Hopefully it comes to Vancouver one day. That's the goal. One of the goals. My next piece, I'm working with the title Wanderers. And I will be doing research for it. Like, we'll have like time in the fall of next year.
Yeah.
But in the spring, I want to like kind of really connect with the communities of Whacking and the Filipinx community in here. And my dream is to also do research in the Philippines and spend time there with the artists there. Maybe even like go to Marmerto's farm and work on his farm for a month. And because there's so much to learn from being in the motherland and being around people who have a deep connection to spirit and the spirit realm. And through that piece, I think it will deepen my connection to my ancestry, but also provide an opportunity for like other whackers too. So I have dreams to uplift the whacking scene and to uplift like Filipinx voices too, and to share these stories through the art making process. And I really think the act of creating is healing too. And so keep bringing that light into the world.
I love that. It's true. The act of creating is healing. The act of discovery, especially coming from the diaspora, where, Filipinos be everywhere in the world now. We're one of the largest diasporic nations. Did you know that? India and Mexico are up there in the top 3, according to the internet.
According to ChatGPT.
According to ChatGPT. Can't always be trusted, but actually, no, that was a straight googs. What would you say are your creative influences and inspirations? Like where you draw inspiration from for your creating your works? Like either other artists or objects or things. Music.
Totally. Nice. I always talk about the ocean. The ocean's a big inspiration for me. Just like energetically, sound, and the way it moves. The whacking scene, I think, both in Vancouver and Montreal too. I love the whacking scene in Montreal. Kind of also has become family too.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, which
so
is
cool.
So they're a big inspiration for me lately. But even my peers too, the people I'm dancing around, like right now I'm staying with a friend, Rachel Helton, who has a company here, and I think is also a big healer and spellcaster, and Lamont is a big inspiration for me, who's also still an MO but brings like playfulness and like curiosity and deep. So many things.
Yeah.
So the people I'm surrounded by are a big inspiration. Whacking, the ocean, queerness, being Filipinx. Those are some things. So.
Lyzah, our time is up. It's been an hour. We've been
Oh
hanging
my
out here at
gosh.
this wonderful place called Fuwa Fuwa Brunch and Dessert Cafe. Gotta save this for Sean to try the soufflé pancakes. Chef's kiss. Y'all gotta come check out this place. It's on
Yes.
Robson Street. It's been so nice chatting with you.
So nice chatting with you.
And
Thank
getting
you
the
for
full
having me.
exclusive on Paris. You literally just came back, so it's so
Yeah.
cool to hear about all of that. And just like where you're headed, you know, what you aspire to and what you're dreaming of, and to continue to be a witness in your life and in your journey.
And I to you. I can't wait to see where you go.
I know, right? I'm stoked. Anyways, yo, shout out to everyone who's tuned in,
Thank
who
you.
watched the show today or who are watching the playback. We appreciate you. This has been Van City Beats, Eats,
And more.
Bye.